Hi everybody, it's Abi Neill here from Abigail's collection in the Groom's Room. You may also know me as a columnist for Bridal Buyer. We've had some technical issues today, unfortunately. We were hoping to go live. Hi Ella. Ella was hoping to interview me on our positive preparations for getting our store opened, and we've experienced, unfortunately, a huge amount of technical issues, haven't we, Ella? It's been a nightmare. So please accept our sincere apologies. Despite us looking at all of the different technicalities between our phones and laptops, for some reason we just haven't been able to do it in the way that we had planned. Ella was getting ready to ask me lots of questions about our reopening and the plans that we have. Hi everybody. Hello Maria. Hello Claire. Hi Christine. Hi Sarah. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hi Zoe. Can you please just give me some feedback? Hello Anna. Please give me some feedback. Can you hear me okay? Hello Helen. Can you hear me all right? Can you see me okay? I can see lots of you joining. But I must admit the confidence has been knocked out of me somewhat after our shaky starts there technically. We had some sound interference. We had all sorts of problems there. Brilliant. Thank you. Sarah's confirmed that the sound's perfect. Hi Hayley. Lots of retailers joining today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Brilliant. Hi Zoe, that's great. All looks and sounds great. Excellent. Hello Debbie. So I'm going to do my best to run this session myself. What we were hoping to do, Ella and I, is really just give some advice and a little bit of sort of positive preparation guidelines really on how to perhaps start thinking about getting your boutiques reopening. There is a huge amount of debate out there right now. Hi there Claire. Hello Julie. There is a huge amount of debate. There's lots of fantastic retailers providing advice and providing platforms for us to hop on and talk about different ways to get our boutiques up and running. And we just decided we wanted to go live, and perhaps I was going to give you my experience of what we've done so far. So I'll sort of pretext all of this by saying everything I'm talking about today is literally what we are doing at Abigail's collection and the Groom's Room. Hi Carla, hello Rachel. These are just the decisions that we have made for our boutique. You may know we operate Abigail's collection and the Groom's Room in Colchester. We have done so for 15 years, and I work in partnership with my husband Rob Neill, who is an absolute legend. All of the decisions we've made together. We've based it on the government guidelines, and we've based it on the research that we've carried out. So it's really important for me just to say that these are just my ideas. This is just my approach. Hello Nick. Hi Emily. You know, this live today is not about what's right for the boutiques in the UK and further afield. This live today is really just about what we've done and just trying to share some ideas and some resources on what perhaps you can do to get prepared for reopening. So, Ella was going to ask me lots of questions, but she sent me the question sheet here, and I'm going to do my best to run this myself. So I'm going to have to kind of pretend that I'm being interviewed. I hope that's okay. It's a slightly different change of plan. So obviously this, as I've said, is some advice for retailers. Everybody's going to be doing things very differently. There's a huge amount of debate out there on what to do, and I suppose also what the right thing to do is currently. Hopefully this live is going to provide some tips on getting ready to reopen your boutique positively. Hi Michael, hi. It's really just how to approach things and some go-to resources. So from the list of questions here, I can see Ella's first question for me was, and this isn't, just to share with you all, this isn't quadruple gin, this is lemon water, yeah? So it's been stressful trying to get this live ready, but I haven't just poured myself a pint of gin. Ella was first of all going to ask what my experience of going into lockdown was like, and at what point we closed. And I think that's quite an interesting thing to consider actually. Going into lockdown was quite a frightening situation. I think all of us as bridal retailers, and certainly industry manufacturers and designers, will all agree going into lockdown was really quite frightening, and it was very much the unknown. No one knew at all what was going to happen, how long we were going to be in lockdown for, and obviously we are still in lockdown as a retailer. We are not supposed to be open to the public currently, so going into lockdown was very frightening for us. We made the decision to go into lockdown on I think it was Saturday the 22nd of March. and I believe it was the Monday that we were the enforced lockdown for us retailers. Hi there, hello, all the enforced sort of lockdowns kicked in. So we made the decision to go into lockdown because my team and I were becoming really nervous about how we should be operating. We were becoming afraid of this situation. We were experiencing quite a lot of cancellations. And I think the icing on the cake for us was when one of our brides, who I'd had a long conversation with about potentially cancelling her appointment, she decided that she was going to continue and come in and see us, despite the fact that we had been informed a partner had been isolating. I had a long conversation with her. I tried to tackle the subject appropriately, and unfortunately, she did attend her appointment and then she virtually passed out during the appointment. I'd shielded my team. I discussed at length. The agreement was that she was going to come in and I was going to hold her appointment. On reflection, it was a bad decision, but I handled it to the best of my ability at that time, and we weren't in an enforced lockdown situation. We were taking measures and steps already to protect the team and protect the shop, but the reality is it was a nightmare, and it was at that point that I did say to Rob, we're closing, and we're closing today. So my decision to close was ahead of the lockdown, and yes, staff were furloughed and everybody went home, and that was my experience of lockdown. Obviously, like many retailers, it has been a stressful time. I'd like to say it's all been Joe Wicks giggles and baking memories and all of this, but it really hasn't. We've been juggling homeschool, we've been juggling, you know, my daughter's a single child, she's 8, she's a very social butterfly. It's been really stressful, not to mention the financial implications, not to mention the staff implications. Yes, it's not been easy. So that's been lockdown. However, what Rob and I have been doing is working really, really hard on our Instagram, our Facebook, our marketing, and deepening our connections with our brides and grooms, ready for what we hope to be the inevitable, you know, allowance of us being able to open our shops. So hello, Mark. Hi, Carol. So that was our experience of lockdown. And although we are readying ourselves to reopen, I do want to acknowledge that this is another frightening step for us all as retailers. There is the political debate, there is the what's right debate, there is how we go about it debate, and we also have the issues of, you know, not having children back at school, so how do we all get to work? It is, let's all acknowledge, a difficult scenario that we've all been in. The next question is, when am I looking to reopen? Right, well, this is an excellent question. We haven't actually publicly confirmed that we are anticipating that, subject to being allowed to, we intend to reopen on June the 2nd. We are very much aware that there could be some changes to that with the phased opening of non-essential retail. It could be that we don't open, or we're not allowed to open until July. It could be that we're told we can open with certain measures and, you know, new rules in place. Obviously, we're waiting for everybody, you know, the government to let us know exactly what we can do. But we are looking to reopen. I think this is one of the things at the moment for us as bridal retailers. There's this huge debate raging, I might use the word raging, on when it is right to reopen. We have been meticulously planning, preparing, writing policies, walking the store, consulting with our teams. And I think that the right time for any boutique to reopen is when they're ready. I have, one of my best friends is a doctor, and a very close friend of mine is very senior within the NHS Trust down in Devon. I haven't had that many conversations with these guys because obviously, you know, I've been able to dip in and out of, but they're very busy. And what I would say is my decision to reopen as soon as I'm allowed to was made based on the fact that at the beginning of some of the, there was a COVID document released by the government, document, it was the, here babbling, it was the UK document Plan to Rebuild policy that the government released, I think on the 12th of May. And the first section of that really did take great time and lengths to explain the sociological, the you know, the economic impact of us not starting to release from lockdown. It was that combined with their reiteration of the point that we have to learn to live with the virus, and that actually there is no absolutely safe until there is a vaccine. And I think it was at that point I realised I needed to go away and make some plans for the new normal, get my big girl pants on and start to make my plans for reopening my boutique. So that was when I made my decision to reopen as early as I can. But I think the key thing on this question is really that lots of preparation, and I know today Ella and Bridal Buyer called this session positive preparation, but I think preparation is key. I would definitely not advocate that anyone opens their doors to members of the public if you are not ready personally or if the team isn't ready. But now is the time, in the weeks leading up, we can start planning and preparing so that when we do open to the public, we can move to the new normal as safely as possible and start hopefully doing what we all love to do best, which is making lots of brides, and in our case grooms, dreams come true. What advice would you give to retailers about what they should do in terms of their own date for reopening their boutiques? I've just really said that, but you need to consult with your team, and I would suggest lots of open, transparent, honest communication with your team. Our policy, which is a 6-page document, along with the risk assessment that we've done. Now, the risk assessment, if you're a retailer, must be a written risk assessment, and you need to do that if you employ 5 staff or more. It's one of the government guidelines, and it isn't an optional. You need to conduct a written risk assessment. If you don't know how to do that, if you don't know what a risk assessment is, or you don't know where to start, Google it. Go to some business resources where you can get free risk assessment templates and begin planning. Now, this for me is one of my positive preparation things. It's now a 6-page document. Now, within this 6-page document, I have covered everything that I feel my staff need to know. So it sort of combines some staff training, but it's really my policy. It's what we're going to do in our what if situations. It's how we're going to reshape our boutique. It's why we've made the decision to reopen and how we're going to do that in a safer way. I have even gone to lengths within my document for the benefit of my team to talk about some information about the virus, symptoms of the virus, how it's spread, preventing the spread of infection, how long the virus can survive. I've put some guidance on face masks. I've talked about our increased hygiene measures, the number of guests that will be allowed to attend our appointments. We've got a section on here on moving around the building, which takes into account our pinch points and our zones that get busier. We talked about customer refreshments and snacks. We talked about our working side by side policy. We've talked about the development of our minimal contact dress shopping experience, what to do or what we plan to do if a member of staff or member of the public with suspected confirmed COVID has been in our building. We've talked about if a member of our team develops it and what we intend to do with them. We've also talked about the certification of the coronavirus in terms of sickness, handling post packages and deliveries, cash handling, shared equipment and menswear suit returns. Now, there's a lot of information there, and that is my COVID staff and store policy, which is being updated all the time. It is only really by putting together your own version of this that you can really be fully prepared. And I think also that really helps your team feel safe and confident and have a go-to kind of reference on how you're handling things and what the new normal within your boutique looks like. So that would be one of my first steps for everybody, is to start looking not at necessarily the risk assessment, which is, a compulsory document we all have to do if we employ 5 or more, but start developing your own COVID policy. It hasn't got to include all the sections I've just gone through, but by doing that, you are forced to give some consideration to all of the different areas within your building, your staff considerations, the what if scenarios, and I think that's why we feel more confident and more ready, because we've taken time to develop that. So I'd really, really recommend the development of your own COVID staff and store policy. Now, I know I'm talking a lot, everyone. It's going to be very difficult for me to take questions as I talk at you. Obviously, we were going to do this session as an interview, but I will make some room at the end for some questions, providing my phone doesn't die. That would be another interesting technicality, but I'm sure it won't. It was fully charged. So that was one of the first steps that we've taken. We've developed a COVID staff and store policy. And I think that's the first thing you need to do. We've had a series of online calls. Thank you, Zoe. We've had a series of online calls with our team. I read with interest an article about managing your team during COVID. And one of the things I took from it was that consulting with your team on the decisions that you make for your boutique is probably a really good thing, because if you've had transparency in conversations, and they've been part of that consultancy or consultant process, you know, where you're discussing decisions and your new policy together in a mutual way, they're going to feel more supported and heard. So I would definitely advise you to talk to your teams about all of the things that you could potentially put into your staff and store policy. What advice would you give? We've done that one. I wish you were here, Ella, asking me these questions, and telling me to be quiet at times would also be helpful. Has the government put in place any specifics to help you manage your reopening? Well, mainly this at this stage, as far as I can see. There is so much information out there. There is so much speculation. There is so much what I now call noise on how we manage the reopening of our boutiques. But at the moment, for me, this has been my go-to, and this is available for everybody on the government website. I strongly urge all of you to start looking at the government website. Look for their formal guidelines, look for their re-release of policies and updates. This is really what we need to be looking at and really working to. This is the Working Safely During COVID-19 in shops and branches document that they've released. That went out on the 11th of May. I'm hoping they're going to update it. I'm hoping that there won't be too many new rules, regulations and measures added, because I feel as though we are able to reopen with everything we've done, but we are fully prepared that, yes, we might go back into lockdown at some point. We're really hoping we won't, but we are prepared that that may happen, and we're also prepared that this will be updated. I would recommend you print this off. I've got my printer designer graphic-y guy to print me a copy, and that was what helped me come up with all of that. So by printing that off and working through it, you can give some real consideration to what you need to be doing in store to come up with that. Nicola Thomas, you're right, there is a lot of speculation out there which is confusing, and that's why I've been using this. At the moment, there's lots of talk about lots of things. I might come on to some of them and try and let you know what I've decided. It's hard and it's frightening, because with all the speculation and all of the debate, there is then a lot of fear. So print that off and start with that would be my advice. Have they put in place any specifics to help you manage your reopening? As far as I can see, the main and primary advice from our government is 2 metre social distancing and face masks. 2 metre social distancing is going to be the new normal for us in our store, and we're going to do everything we can. We are going to, we've rejigged the whole of our boutique to try and maintain 2 metre social distancing, and obviously we've got to talk about the fitting room element of that. But as far as I can see, the masks are at the moment advisable and optional. We are going to be having a masked experience. That is absolutely what we're going to do. And that will be in our fitting room, so I'll come on to that in a moment. But the 2 metre social distancing is the thing that we have been told we must do, and in that document the other thing we must do is create a risk assessment. So I'll come on to that, guys. The PPE and the face masks and how we're cleaning dresses, I'm going to come on to all of that hopefully. Claire, I think you've said something would be useful to know. Bear with me and I'll come back to that. It's really difficult because I'm not being interviewed to manage through Ellie's questions, but bear with me, I'll come on to that for you. She has covered that in these. Has the government, in order to be COVID safe, what changes are you making to your physical store and layout, if any? Okay, these are some of the things we've done. I've got a list that I thought would be useful to read out. So our reception is one of, thank you Claire, our reception is one of our pinch points. We have, just to give you a bit of background, our store is now, we have 4 fitting areas. Every single room is entirely private in our store. We consider this an advantage, but we do have a communal reception area. Neil, I'll talk about when we're going to open our fitting rooms. I'll do that in a bit. When you come into our store off the high street, you come into a sort of small reception area, and we had about 4 or 5 little areas where, you know, our customers would come in and congregate and then be taken into their private appointment rooms subject to the appointments finishing. That's really difficult because although we can try and stagger our appointments, all of us as business owners, it is going to be difficult unless you make the decision to have only one group of customers and a door locked policy. It's going to be difficult to avoid having more than one party in your shop at one time. We do intend to take some of our furniture out of our reception area, and we do intend to use some signage on our floors to try and help people keep their 2-metre distancing. We hope to have far less transactions happening within the reception area. Very often we need to take people to that area for payment, for pictures, for lots of different things. We're going to try and do that far more in our closed rooms now. We have increased things like our terminals within our building, if people are still obviously paying by card. And we're going to try and keep everybody apart. So that means our reception area is one of those areas that we have to reduce our waiting seats because we don't want people hanging about too much. Other things that we have done on the way into our reception, and I should just say that we are operating a closed door policy. We've always been by appointment. I've had some retailers ask me if I think they should lock their doors. Personally, I've suggested to some of my retailer friends that have asked me that, I've just said it's what we've always done. And if they are a boutique that can move to that, either buzzer door policy, then great. It just controls the flow of people within your building a little easier. I think it's a wise move at a time where we want, less people congregating in certain areas. If you just have a door, if doors are just wide open, you're gonna be possibly in that situation where people are just coming and going and you have less control. So if you are able to move to that, fantastic. I'm going to come on to that, Kelly, about putting people in gowns. What else? Every room is private and we've reduced the number of people in every room. So we've made the decision with our bridal first appointments. Most retailers that I'm aware of are advocating or moving to a bride plus one special guest. I've seen some great marketing terminology, star guest, star players, your special helper, your bride tribe number one, there's lots of ways of jazzing it up. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. Brides do want that celebration. They do want that party. They do want all their loved ones with them. But most boutiques are moving now to a situation where they're going to invite their bride plus one guest. We are going to invite a bride plus two guests, controversially, and that is because we're a small boutique, and within the space of my main bridal fitting room, I have everything in there and no other customers can access that area. It's entirely private and it's a big space. So I can take bride plus two and a consultant and we can socially distance effortlessly in that environment. So our decision is to have bride plus two. Lots of shops aren't laid out the way we are. You have to give lots of consideration to how many people you're going to have in any area at any one time. So I think it is a really good idea. I'll come on to that, Hannah, about refreshments. I think it is a really good idea to have bride plus one, or at the very most, as long as you're very confident about being able to manage that space, bride plus two. It's up to you. It's up to you and up to your policy, and it's up to your boutique. Again, there's no right or wrong with any of this. It's all about you, your individual boutique, and what you want to do. We've made the decision when brides come to pick up their dresses, they will be coming along for their sort of try on and what we call our collection care appointment, and we're going to ask them to do that alone. We're going to do that primarily because the room that we're now going to be doing that within is smaller. It's harder to social distance in there. Now we've got to find ways to communicate that as positively as possible with our customers. So there are ways of doing that, I believe, and we need to remind our customers as politely and as gently and as carefully as possible that these measures have been put in place not just to adhere to the government guidelines, but also because it's for their safety and for their confidence in visiting our store. It's also for the confidence of my staff, to protect me and my husband Rob, because we don't want it. But it's really about putting out to our customers that so they can have a comfortable and safe experience with us. These are the new ways of working. This is the new normal for us. I've written, we are safer, we are ready, we are excited. I'm not really that excited, I'm dreading it, but I'm getting on with it. And so with some of my customer language, I have written things like the safety and comfort of our customers and stylists is of paramount importance to us. We want you to enjoy your visit to our gorgeous boutique. We want you to feel special, blah-de-blah-de-blah. We've spent time redeveloping our customer experience. Welcome to your, safer, what have I written? I've got some strap lines somewhere, but not on this piece of paper here. I've got some little strap lines that make it all sound very happy and jazzy and customer friendly. So there's ways of communicating your new rules. I don't advocate that you write a list of new rules and send, you may not bring your bridal party. You will not be allowed to enter our store unless you have an appointment. This is not good language for our customers who are in, as my dear friend Wendy would say, bride country, and they're still in bride country. I have never before experienced a thirst from brides to get into our stores and really enjoy and experience the magic of wedding dress shopping as I have now. I've had lots of conversations with brides, and they are going to have to come into the new normal for our store. That's absolutely essential. I'm not going to put my staff and my team, my husband and myself, and everybody else under unnecessary risk. But, you know, brides are really excited right now. They want to come in and experience joy. They want to plan their wedding, whatever that wedding looks like. So you've got to make sure that when you're presenting everything to them, you do that in a really customer-centric, excited, happy way. Oh my gosh, I'm talking a lot. I wish you were here, Ella. In order to be COVID safe, what changes are you making to your physical store? We've just talked about that. I was going through a list. We are introducing our hand sanitising station on arrival in store. We've ordered ours, and I'm going to come onto that hopefully, from sanitizerstation.co.uk. It's the first thing that will happen with our store when you step foot over the threshold. I think this gives our customers a huge amount of reassurance, and I think it gives my staff a huge amount of reassurance, and it certainly reassures me. You aren't coming over the threshold unless you've used hand sanitizer. So that is going to be very obviously one of the first things that they experience after they have pressed the buzzer and been allowed in at a social distance, carefully, of 2 meters. We've removed furniture. We have introduced iPads in every fitting room. I know lots and lots of really marketing savvy, positive retailers are out there looking at ways to enhance and connect with their brides. You know, we very much are one of these stores that likes to celebrate with our brides. We've, for 15 years, really wanted to drive a very special, magical, private experience for our brides. And it's really difficult because, of course, some of that's been taken away now with social distancing. But we're going to put iPads in every area where we see customers, so in our 4 fitting areas. Thank you so much, everyone, for your feedback and telling me that I'm doing a great job. We're going to introduce that in all of our fitting areas so that our brides can experience that connection with whoever they want with them during that trying on experience. We're positioning all our chairs at 2 meters from a social distancing viewpoint, and we're going to have perspex at the reception. We're introducing some signage. It would be great to introduce some signage in your store. And I think a lot of these measures are, some of them are a very real managing risk measure, and some of these measures are a psychological measure. So, for example, I'm putting signage on my floor in the fitting room scenario. I'm going to put a please stand here. You know, you can get the blue feet signs. I've got some places you can go to for that. You know, the please stand here markers. And then I'm going to put another marker for where my member of my staff needs to then stand back to. That's really because I think that as we get into the new normal, people are going to basically, I think, sometimes relax and forget about social distancing. And it's really important for my business to remember social distancing. So I'm going to place signage on the floors and around to help my staff just try and remember their positioning when they're fitting room situation. What masks have I decided to use, if any? Well, this is fun, isn't it? The masks. Okay, so we've done some tried and tested mask things. We've done all sorts of things. I mean, I put an Instagram post up, which basically this. I think I had these on my head and me losing the plot looking crazy. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to make light of the fact that COVID places a real health risk on our customers. But basically what I'm saying is we've tried to introduce it in a fun way. Not the mask wearing as such, but the subject of masks. We've found that with our mask testing, the best ones are the disposable surgical. We've got ours from onbuy.com. These basically are the most comfortable. You can breathe in them, they're porous. They don't look great, do they? But we're all going to have to get used to that, I'm afraid. We've introduced a masked fitting room experience is basically what we are doing. We will not be asking our customers to wear a mask upon arrival because we feel confident with all the measures in place and the changes we've made to our boutique that we can maintain a 2 metre social distancing policy, except for in our fitting room. We have also got these ones, they say bridal stylist, these have filters, but let me tell you, they are hot. They're not hot as in hot, they're hot. I can't breathe very easily in them, it's really hard. So I would recommend strongly that if you haven't sort of explored different masks and even got your team on board with deciding what sort of mask to wear, you perhaps need to experiment with that. I've worn 5 different types of masks, including ones that were made for us, and I have come up with the idea that this is going to be the easiest for us to basically wear. So I would definitely recommend you have a little, you know, sort of test trial session. Our customers will be given these, they're disposable, and it will be part of the policy. They have to wear a mask in our fitting rooms, guys. And that's what we would definitely recommend. I know there's loads of questions here. Thank you, Ella. Signage doesn't have to be scary, yellow and red. It can be in with your brand colours, exactly. Let's go back through a few of these now. There's lots of questions coming through and I've got lots more to go through. How will you get around the 2 metres distancing of helping brides into gowns? Okay, so I'm going to go off the questions, Ella, so there might be some of this. Oh, actually, it says here. I'm going to go through the questions because I think some of this will help. Right. Which mask have you decided to use? So that's the masks I've decided to use. On buy.com, I think you can get 100 for about, where's my list of helpful things? 100 masks, $43.99. I must go back to this list actually, because there's other things we're going to be doing. We've got the locked door policy. We've got perspex at our reception. We've increased our terminals in the building. We've introduced hand sanitising area, and we're making sure there's less transactions in our communal reception area. Also, we are introducing contactless temperature checking for our customers and staff every day. So this is another controversial one. Good, no temperature today. I think if you introduce this, and I think some retailers are, you just need to be careful that when they come in, you don't point a gun at their head. That is exactly how it feels when somebody raises one of these to you. We're going to ask customers to take their own temperature, so they will just be given that. We'll be providing some antibacterial wipes by the thermometer, which we'll use, and they'll just take that. Now, I believe that is one of, you know, we all know that you can have COVID and be asymptomatic. I know that, we know that, but I don't want anyone in my building right now that has a fever. So it's just one of the additional steps we've taken. And, you know, the response to a customer, if we find that they do have a temperature, will be, I am so sorry, I'm not suggesting for one moment that you have COVID, but unfortunately we just can't run your appointment today. Please come back to us or reschedule for 2 weeks time. It's a bit like if somebody's card is rejected, you know, when they go to pay for something, you don't turn around and say, oh, no money in the bank, oh dear. You tend to say, oh, that happens sometimes. So you've got to be ready for that scenario when you have asked somebody to take their temperature and you find that it is a high temperature, and you've got to be polite in your response. You just say, I'm really, really sorry, it's our policy, not suggesting for one moment you have COVID, but as you know, it's one of the symptoms. Please, could you reschedule your appointment with us? So we've developed our minimal contact dress shopping experience in the fitting rooms. Are we planning to quarantine dresses between try-ons? Wow, now this is a topic of real debate right now, and I'm seeing a lot come through from Drapers, The Telegraph, you know, lots of other platforms. Everybody is talking about this business of what we do with our dresses in between appointments. You already know there's a couple of options here. In fact, there's 3. You can either decide to quarantine your dresses, and that's what Ella has asked me about. You can use sprays or chemicals to sanitize your dresses in between trying on, or what is the third? Heat, steaming. Now, this is a really difficult one, and I think what you decide to do probably depends at the moment on, 1, what the government tell us we've got to do, and at the moment they're not telling us we have to do anything, but also 2, what you feel is appropriate for your boutique and your store, just like all of these decisions. We've decided to use this. This is what we were using before we went into lockdown, and these are the all-in-one Dettol sprays. I've been spraying them on my dresses. None of them have gone purple or yellow yet. It's a dry spray, it smells really good, it could be used on hard and soft surfaces. It claims to kill 99.9% of bacteria. Love the headline on there, kills cold and flu virus. and you can use it on soft furnishings. Please don't get me wrong, I don't know what's going to happen to all of our dresses and fabrics if I use this and a lot of it for a sustained period of time. But we've decided this is the way forward for us, and we will be using this in between dresses, and we will spray it in front of customers. I think this is also a really reassuring, psychologically reassuring thing to be doing. Do not be afraid to clean around customers, to spray. You know, we need to move towards the new normal, and the new normal really is boutiques that we are running that are, you know, sterilised environments to the best of our ability. And I don't think it hurts for customers to see us spraying, cleaning, antibacterial wiping. You know, if you need to shower in that stuff, then go for it. You know, I just think that doing those things in front of customers, not necessarily showering in front of customers in antibacterial hand gel, but I do think it's important that customers, all jokes aside, do see us doing these things. We are going to be spraying our dresses. We have no plan at the moment to quarantine our dresses or to steam our dresses. There's lots of debate, again, raging about whether we should be steaming our dresses. The dresses are going to end up a lot wetter, damper, in my opinion. And I don't think that's a nice experience for brides to try on. I think with COVID in mind, I feel as though if I'm trying a dress on that has been sprayed, I just feel happier. The spray is just probably slightly drier than I think steaming. I'm just not comfortable with the idea of lots of germs and steam, making that environment warm, dresses becoming wet. I want to try and remove any risk of COVID from my store. And for me personally, and it's a real personal thing, I'm going to be using this spray. You can get that on OnBuy, and it is onbuy.com. I think we bought, I think it was 6 bottles for about 25 quid. So I suggest you buy that. You can use it all over the shop. I mean, we just spray it all over the place. We're a bit like, you know, obviously trying to take care with everything. So that was the question on quarantining. Let me just go through some of these questions. Kelly, how will we get around the 2 meters distancing to help brides into gowns? Right, our fitting room experience. We're trying to introduce, and we sort of branded it, a minimal contact fitting room, a minimal contact shopping experience. In the fitting room environment, our team are going to wear this, and we will be asking our brides to. So much so that in the marketing I'm due to put out there for my customers, and I've developed a list of customer friendly, make it all sound exciting, safe and positive if you can. These are my points that customers will be sent and we'll start to see in the marketing that we put out there about their appointments. And one of them I've put is, we're wearing masks in the fitting room, our brides and grooms are too. So, and unfortunately it's going to be part of our policy. Now, just going back to masks, there's lots of people that are talking about washable masks. You need to be careful, because if you're going to ask customers to wear a mask, I don't mind if customers wear their own mask, by the way. They can wear their own mask, or they must use one of our disposable masks. And that has to be a policy they adhere to. If they don't want to wear a mask, I'm afraid I won't be conducting their appointment. And that's going to be obviously something you need to ready yourself for. Am I allowed to visit your store if I do not wear a mask? Well, for us, there'll be a really positive, comforting and reassuring answer along the lines of, you know, for your reassurance and for your comfort, we've developed a policy, a safer working environment, a safer bridal shopping experience, whereby you are going to be asked to wear a mask in the fitting room. I'm really sorry, I'd ask you to reschedule your appointment, perhaps once a vaccine has been found, which might be waiting for some time, unfortunately. So we're going to do a step in and step out situation in our fitting room. So I'm doing a team training session. So we are hoping to open on the 2nd of June, subject to the government allowing us to. I am fully ready for the government to say that we are not allowed to, in which case we will put that date back. But if the government say we're allowed to open, my team are in 1 week before. I'm taking them off furlough. I want them ready. I don't want them all masked. You know, I can just imagine it. If we don't get the team ready, they're going to be like this on the first day, like that. You know, my team are worried. And I think if we're not careful, we're going to be all like rabbits in headlights. So I would probably recommend that with your reopening plans, you perhaps devise some sort of a timetable for opening, which includes some staff training. You know, walk in your boutique with the team, retraining on how your environment is going to work in your fitting area before you open to the public. Otherwise, you're all just going to be like rabbits in headlights, panicking. I know I would be. So I have explained to my team that we're coming off furlough a week before. Now, on the furlough side of things, I understand you can take your team off furlough and then put them back onto furlough, but I think you've got to do it in 3-week chunks. I'm yet to suss that out, because at the moment I'm very hopeful that we may just be able to take them off furlough, open the boutique and start with our new normal. So I need to check that. But that's what we're doing in store. Let me just go through some of these questions. Neil, you've asked when we're opening our fitting rooms. We're opening our fitting rooms. We've got booked appointments from the 2nd of June, which is a Tuesday, and that's our first day of opening. But all of my customers know who have booked appointments that this is subject to being allowed to, and subject to us satisfying ourselves that we are ready and that we can offer them a safer bridal shopping experience. You know, I have no problem with going back to all of my customers and saying, I'm terribly sorry, we're not ready. You know, your safety is of paramount importance. There are some changes that need to be made to our boutique. I am preparing to be ready to open, but I'm very much open. And, you know, as business owners, we've got to be agile and we've got to be flexible, and we've got to try and approach this as positively as possible. So I am open to being told that we won't open, but yeah, 2nd of June is when my fitting rooms will be open. How will I get around the 2-metre distancing if helping brides into gowns? Well, that is a step in, step out scenario. I've got some signage on my floors which help my staff remember where to be. In the government guidelines, there's lots about side-by-side working. You know, it asks in lots of cases for you to consider whether or not you're able to work more side to side rather than face to front. So naturally, it makes sense for us to work, obviously, the back of our bride, step forward into the space and step out the space. We've always worked very up close and personal with our brides. I mean, God, I'm all over them like a rash half the time. You know, that's got to stop. We've got to now keep a distance. So, you know, you need to give some consideration to your communication style with your brides. If you're a very tactile, touchy-feely person, perhaps think of some ways that you can introduce in your boutique, new ways of letting them know you're normally a touchy-feely person and that you warmly welcome them into your environment, because now we can't hug, we can't touch them. So, you know, maybe think of some creative ways to get around that. Good idea to get a buzzer. Are you going to serve refreshments? No. We normally do things like Prosecco. We tend to have like little sweet treats. We're very celebratory. We want our brides and their entourage to feel like they've, you know, a little bit of a party while they're shopping. We've always had that type of experience. We used to have things like popcorn, sweets, all kinds of things out. That's all gone. So we've moved now to individually wrapped sweeties. And of course, you need to ask yourselves whether or not you feel you need that at all. You know, this is going to potentially be a high contact point. So I'm not sure if everybody needs to do it, but for now we have individually wrapped branded chocolates. That's what we're doing, and we will ask them to help themselves to, you know, a drink. Given that we have moved to a situation whereby our fitting room element of our experience is now masked, it does mean that there are 1 or 2 guests are the ones that are going to sit there and quaff a drink. I suppose you could also consider, you know, if say you serve, I don't know, say you serve wine, you could decide that what you're going to do is give them a bottle of wine and ask if they want to open it then or take it home with them. It's up to you, but we're going to serve drinks and we're going to serve individually wrapped sweets. We're going to do away with all of the rest of the things. And as far as my staff goes, what about staff refreshments? I don't provide any staff refreshments. Most of my team go off into town. They'll be asked to hand sanitize, and I'll probably spray them down head to foot with my stuff when they come back from any breaks. I think you're right, Kira. They will feel happier coming to if we can make them feel safe. Am I replacing fabric seating with white clean? No, I'm not. I'm using this. I think, unfortunately, my theory sometimes when I get into an overthinking process about what I can do to make safe my boutique is this. There is no safe until there's a vaccine. And whilst I can control my environment and put in place lots of elements that do control the risk and the transmission risk, I keep telling myself, I'm not opening my doors to a bunch of zombies. Not everybody that steps foot in my shop has COVID. So I do try and get some sort of perspective on it. And I'm going to use this rather than wipe clean. But I have got antibacterial wipes for my floors. You know, we really are going to be doing a very good job at deep cleaning as regularly as possible. In between appointments, at the start of the day, at the end of the day. This is going to be absolutely paramount. I don't want to become a risk transmission hub, that's for sure. But no, I'm going to be using that spray. Will I let them use the loo? It's a really good question, Charlotte. Will I wear your mask? Will you wear and your customers wear medical grade masks? Right, my customers, I think I've covered that off, are going to wear these in the fitting rooms. I have, by the way, for my staff, told them I'll read out what I've said in my policy actually, because for the staff, it's slightly different. The feedback I got from the staff about whether we should be wearing masks at all times, they unanimously said that they would prefer to wear masks at all times. However, they said that without having even worn a mask. They just want to feel safe. My team, you know, like most of you, and like, not most of you, most of your teams, you know, I've got different approaches and responses to the fact we're coming back to work, but there is a real, very genuine fear. And I think it's important that we acknowledge that. There's no point just telling our staff, get back to work, this is what's happening, get on with it. That's just not going to work. It is a time to support, encourage and reassure, and really demonstrate that you're doing your best for them in terms of their working environment. But on the face masks, what I have said is for the majority of the time we've decided that face masks are optional. You may wear them when you wish. This is for my staff. However, when in the fitting room, either dressing or measuring a bridegroom or a member of the wedding party, a mask must please be worn. For the time being, this is compulsory, and not wearing a face mask during a fitting room experience with a customer will be a breach of our safety and hygiene working conditions. So I'm making it compulsory in fitting rooms. I know I've got 1 or 2 members of my team, there's 9 of us. I think they want to wear a mask more often. They can wear a mask more often. I suspect that as time goes on, they're probably more inclined then to just fall into a situation where they wear it more in the fitting room, because I think as they become more confident that we can socially distance for the vast majority of the time, I think they'll probably just then fall into wearing a mask in the fitting room. But I want them to know that if they feel safer wearing a mask, they can wear a mask. But what I'm not doing is making it compulsory for everybody to wear masks at all times in my fitting room. I've read a lot about the virus living on the fabric for several hours and steaming, not necessarily removing it. How are you going to work around the suggested delay to garments back into the rails? I'm not doing that. I've already covered that. I hope that answers your question, Hayley. I'm not quarantining and I'm not steaming at this point. I might change that. We might get told that we have to change it and we have to steam. But for now, I'm going to be using my all-in-one disinfectant spray, just as I was pre-lockdown. For us, that worked well. We used a lot of it, so you need to order a lot of it if that's what you want to do. Kira's designed her own floor markers. Well done, Kira, that sounds fantastic. And Andrew, you've used bridal print for your markers, for your floors, sort of jazzed it up to make it more customer friendly. Would antibac spray be effective on dresses and then steam at the end of the day? I think it's your own decision, Yvonne. There's a lot of debate on this, as we've already covered. You could decide you're going to steam at the end of the day. You could decide that you're going to spray partway through the day. Entirely up to you. Rosanna, the masks were for on buy. Shelley, they were from OnBuy and they are onbuy.com. You can get 100 masks for $43.99. Disposable masks like those from B&M, believe it or not, they are also available from a company called More Planet. Brilliant. Oh, Anna, thank you, you're so sweet. Kira, well done. Dettol fabric specific too. Yep. Helen, I think that is from Willow. That is I think that one, the Dettol fabric spray. That is that one. Catherine, hello Catherine, I hope you're okay with your gorgeous new baby. Some great ideas there, guys, for where to get masks from. You will have more exposure to the virus from fabrics if you will have more exposure to the virus from fabrics is your steam, surely. I don't understand what you mean, Andrew. I'm so sorry what you mean by that, but please share on here what you plan to do. Obviously, I'm only just telling everyone what our decision is so far. Will they be allowed to remove the mask when they stand in front of the mirror? Oh, very good question, Claire. Probably not. I think probably not. I think I've got to have a consistent message, and I think if you're in the fitting room area and your work, because we step in and step out, we step in and we step out, I think for everyone's safety. Otherwise, I'm going to be saying to her, oh, can you just put your mask on so I can step forward, please? Oh, I just want to adjust something. I can move more freely in and out of that environment if she's got a mask on at all times. There is the possibility, however, I might consider if she wants a picture of her in her dress, which we all know some brides do, at the very end when I'm not going in and out of the fitting room, maybe she can take her mask off and we can take a photo of her because I'm then not moving in and out of her environment. But I don't want, I know I'm contradicting myself there, I don't want to be in a situation where the masks are going on and off throughout the whole fitting experience, because I think that's going to take too much time. It's going to become convoluted and difficult. Hi Joanne, how will I approach getting the brides changed without social distancing? You can't, so we cannot, unless like some retailers I know are deciding to enlist the help of their special guest. And I mean, that's one way of doing it. For me, I've thought it through, I've talked it through with my team. We've decided that we're going to step in and out of that environment at a safe 2-metre distance. We'll stand back, then we'll step in. We normally fuss and fill and we're normally up close and personal, but we are putting them in the dress and we're stepping out. From our viewpoint, to keep the appointment running, I think I'm then in the hands of slow, you know, it just gets messy. I need control over that environment. I also won't know what they're touching in there, and I want to be sanitising all the areas after they've left the changing room. I feel I have more control if I fit them, albeit I understand arguably some people might feel that the risk is greater with us dressing them. But if I'm allowing them in my environment and I've made sure they've hand sanitised, you know, and they're wearing a mask if I'm in close proximity, then I feel as though I'm halfway there on that. Dettol spray, just, yeah. Oh, thank you, Mike. Hi, Mike and Gary. So Mike's just explained that you can put your staff back on furlough at the moment, but it's for 3 weeks. That's what I thought, and it's being reviewed in June. Thank you for that, that confirmation. What's this? If you're doing a first fitting when your bride's arrived to try on her gown for the first time, how are you tackling this in the changing room? I'm nervous she will dress herself wrong or damage her dress. I'm going to dress them. So we will have, for any fitting room experience through menswear, a bride that's coming in for a fitting, a bride that's coming in to try on dresses for the first time, any activity within my fitting areas in my building, they must wear a mask. And if they don't wear a mask, unfortunately, we will not be able to conduct their appointment. So they won't be dressing themselves. How many guests are you allowing with the brides? I've covered that, Rosanna. It's going to be 2 for a first bridal appointment, although many retailers will only be in the position to suggest 1. And I think this is a very sensible decision if that is what your space permits. Hi, John. But if you can keep everyone apart by 2 meters, so probably 1 for us. Thank you for doing this. Really helpful to know we are all thinking the same. In this together. I love that. Harvey's of Ramsey. In this together. Stronger together. Hi, Laura. Hi, Maria. Okay, Maria's got some great advice there as well, no doubt. I know Maria's been heading up a group and there's been lots of discussion on different options. I won't read all that for now, but Maria's comments are there for you, everybody. I'm just looking for any questions. Loving this. Oh, Catherine, lovely. No removal of mask, Charlotte. It's so nice to hear from other bridal business owners. Great. I'm really happy this is useful. Claire Jackson. Claire and Mel from the fantastic Wedding Bells, they have bought a new machine to steam their, pop it down on here if you wouldn't mind, Claire, because I think it's another really useful approach. Obviously there are some retailers who are going to be steaming their dresses, but, oh, hang on. Was your spray, wouldn't you say, Claire, there you've tested your new spray machine? Did you mean your hand sanitising spray machine, or do you mean your spray machine for dresses in between? Let me know, because I think that there's some valid points there, and I think it'd be good on this to share that. Disposal of masks at the end of the appointment, will you take them from your bride? No, we'll have bins, we won't touch them, they'll have to dispose of them. Guidelines indicate you've got to be careful with the disposal of masks. Don't really need to touch them. They'll pop them in the bin and we'll tie it up. That'll be at the end of every appointment just to get any masks out of the way. Remembering, guys, that we are not necessarily dealing with every customer with COVID. So, you know, sometimes we have to get a little perspective on it. We won't be sort of disposing all the time of masks that are covered in COVID. But, you know, you can also perhaps spray across the masks in the bin if you haven't got time to take them out. But we're going to try and get used masks out of the way. They don't look great, do they? It's another reminder that, you know, we have these problems. Hello, Charlotte, my lovely Charlotte. Are you using coverage for seating area? Are you allowing guests to touch the gowns? Apologies, you've already covered this. Thanks for your guidance. So we are going to be doing an interactive selection process. Now, in the past, our customers were allowed to choose dresses, touch dresses. We're now going to encourage them to remain seated. There's going to be far less of them. We'll have more control. And I think it's important for us at the beginning of that appointment just to indicate how it's going to work. So, you know, hi, you know, welcome to your bridal trying on experience, you know, all the nice bits. So this is how it's going to work, girls. We're going to ask you, as you know, to wear a mask in the fitting room area. And when we select dresses, I'm going to show you all the dresses. We're going to talk about which ones you'd love to try, and then we're going to try them on the fitting area. You know, just for your comfort, your safety, security and peace of mind, we're going to ask you not to handle all the dresses out here so that we don't have to spray every dress after your appointment. Something, I've just made that up as I've gone along, but something to that end. So I think what's important is management of expectations, and it's important actually, management of expectations with your customers pre-appointment is really important. You know, we're going to be sending to them confirmation of our new user customer friendly, new points, new ways of working. They're going to receive that in an email. They're going to receive it in a text message, and then we're going to call them and make sure they've read it and that everything's good. And then when they arrive, hopefully we'll have less problems with them understanding some of the measures and the steps that we have put in place. And then I think at the beginning of your appointment, you need to train your team really to talk to your customer about what's going to happen in the appointment. We are moving to the new normal. This is the new normal. And obviously at first, and that's why I've got my team coming in a week before, at first it's going to be new for everybody. You know, we're always like touchy-feely, huggy, you know, all of that's gone. So we're going to spend the week getting our store ready, making sure everybody's good, getting used to wearing our masks, doing some role plays in fitting rooms, trying to remember all the fantastic things that we do which help brides say yes to their dress, but within the new normal environment. But managing their expectation at the beginning of the appointment is important. So you've got to remind them really how it's going to work when you select dresses. And I think the more you do it in those days that lead up to when you open to the public, the better. And then everybody will feel sort of more ready. Really good question, Debbie. Am I expecting or thinking that the bride and their guests should be social distancing between the two of them? This is a really good question, and I think it's a really interesting area. They probably don't live in the same household. Okay, I'm not the COVID police. I've got control over my environment, my policy, and I'll do everything that we can to protect our staff and provide a really safe as possible environment. I'm not going to question or intervene or discuss with them if they're from the same household. They can do that themselves. If they're hand sanitizing when they come in, if they're going to allow me to temperature check them, or rather they're going to temperature check themselves, if I have my social distancing policy in place, and if my team are well trained and well versed on what happens in that fitting room, who am I to start suddenly quizzing them on whether or not they should or shouldn't be out together? I'm going to leave that for them, okay? So that's my decision on that. So many questions here. Oh, thank you, Claire. Great. Andrew Pierce has bought some covers for his laptops and boards. Brilliant one, Andrew. Yeah, I think that's really good. We've got lots of disposable gloves. We're going to be using this more. We're not using now. I think we've all got to be careful on the gloves. You might decide you're going to use gloves for certain aspects of your boutique and your new wedding dress shopping experience. But what is absolutely essential is that it does not move us into a false sense of security. Now, for me, hand sanitisation is everything. Washing hands, everything. We are keeping our toilets open. I feel that there will be some people that come in store that may not want to hand sanitise. Maybe they've got a skin condition, I don't know, but they'll be asked to go and wash their hands in our toilet. And that's fine. So I'm keeping my toilet open, but I'm keeping a separate toilet open for my staff. I think is important because my staff and I, when we discussed things, we really felt we wanted the toilet closed. Then I thought, oh my goodness, if my policy is very much hand sanitisation, hand washing, and I think the guidelines at the moment are 6 to 10 times a day on average, then I really need to give them that available, facility. So we're keeping our toilet open. And we're asking to spray. I've gone off at a tangent. What else? Any virtual pre-consults? Yes, I have actually done some pre-consultations virtually, Hannah. I can come on to that in a moment. It's really lovely to get so much feedback. Anna, you're using white cotton gloves, fantastic, and they can be washed all within your control. That's fantastic. I mean, obviously, like I've just said, just be really careful that it doesn't move you into a false sense of security, because I think sometimes when we put gloves on our hands, we then think that we're safe and protected, and actually we're not. We're going to ask everybody to wear their hair up at work. Just keep their hair up. It's, as you even from this live, I was trying to make myself look my best, so I had my hair down, but I'm fiddling with my hair permanently. So I'm going to make it compulsory for our team to wear their hair up. I've checked with them that they're okay with that, and they are. It's one less thing for them to fiddle with. Am I wearing the same pair of gloves for the whole day? Lisa, we will only be wearing gloves for our menswear checking in situation and perhaps for unpacking deliveries. But ours are all disposable. You can get the gloves from On Buy. We've bought, I think, latex-free ones for 20 quid and you get 100, I think, in there. So that's another one. When you say you're serving drinks, we serve fizz and hot drinks. Is this what you mean? Yes. I'm not going to bother with teas and coffees now. So I'm not doing teas and coffees. I'm going to do cold drinks and the single served sweeties. Toilets I've just talked about, Alison. I hope that helps. Rosanna, oh, thank you. I think Boris needs you on his team. I don't think that's the case, Rosanna, but brilliant. I'm really pleased that that's been helpful. I've got to the end of the questions. I'm so sorry if this is absolutely going on forever. I don't know any, yeah, 3 o'clock. It's been an hour. I'm going to try and rattle through some more of Ella's questions. Have your opening hours and days changed? Yes, they have. One of the things that's really, really important, I think, is for us all to consider our business models carefully. You know, we as a business team, we're reliant on a certain number of sales. We were reliant upon a certain number of brides and grooms through our doors. This has been reduced now as a result, unfortunately, of the measures, the social distancing we put in place. You know, I've got to put it out there that, you know, I haven't spent 15 years building up a business, desperately trying to make it more profitable over the last 2 years, only to find that now I've got to work a lot harder and a lot longer. And I do also understand that lots of us, having just experienced more time at home, probably now are in that zone of, oh my God, this is just too much like hard work. It is. I mean, it really is. It's hard being a business owner. It's hard work being a business owner under normal circumstances, but we have so many challenges ahead of us that, you know, it's really hard now. But yeah, we've made the decision that we're opening every Sunday. We're extending our opening hours because we want to try and make up for the shortfall. I don't want to see my business become much smaller, or for us to sell less or become less profitable as a result of the restrictions and the social distancing and, you know, everything that's happening with COVID. Inevitably, we're taking a hell of a hit. You know, financially, it's an absolute disaster for us all, isn't it? But I am extending my opening hours and I am opening Sundays. And I have discussed this with the team, and I think that, you know, unfortunately they're in agreement that if we're going to survive and if our business can continue, they are understanding that they too have to potentially, their hours are going to have to change. So that's what I'm doing there. What changes have you made to how an appointment actually runs? I think we've covered that. I've talked about the masked fitting room experience. I've talked about our sort of minimal contact dress shopping experience. Are you planning to quarantine dresses? No, I'm not. How many guests are you allowing brides and grooms to bring with you? We've discussed that. In menswear, from Menswear First, we've decided that we're going to do the groom plus one other. Our sort of grooms often will bring along their fiance, and then sometimes they'll bring along the best man. And sometimes they want to bring 25 people, including the mother-in-law, and God knows who else. Obviously, that isn't going to be happening. The vast majority of our grooms for our menswear sector will shop with one other. So we're just going to make it the groom plus one, their fiance or somebody else they've chosen if they're keeping it a secret. The reason we have to do that is simply because those rooms, our groom's rooms, are smaller. So from a social distancing viewpoint, if we really wanted to push it, we could do more, but we just don't want to. I want our staff to feel confident and safe. So in that particular situation, in that setting, we're going to do the groom plus one. I've got loads more questions coming out. Can I ask how you'll be managing steaming of the dresses after and during appointments? Tara, I don't know if you've watched through the live, but I'm not going to be steaming dresses. I'm going to be using the Dettol spray. You can get that on buy.com. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. That's just what I'm doing. Thank you, Rachel. You say you're opening every Sunday, but it's only if you have appointments booked in, or are you expecting walk-ins? Hi, Helen. So we are appointment only. So our whole business is appointment only. So it will be only appointments. So no, I'm not going to be, and I think that is a big consideration for boutiques that have a more of an open door policy. I'd probably advocate some signage on the front of your door or some clear communication to your customers. If you're moving from an open door policy to a by appointment policy, perhaps you need to communicate that to your business, to your customer. Your customers. We've always been appointment only, so we do get walk-ins, of course. People walk past, they want to book an appointment, and of course we're going to have to manage that, but we might have to manage that just slightly outside or just slightly on the door, just slightly outside, possibly in the open air. And actually, I haven't closed my mind to the idea of people queuing outside as well. I think under the new normal, you know, you're going along to shops. I've been to our garden centre now. I did that for research purposes, and I've been to our supermarket. You know, queuing outside at the moment is the new normal. I have no issue with asking people just to wait outside. You can get outdoor vinyl stickers for floors. Where is that information? I wrote this down. I thought it was useful. If you go to the sanitizerstation.co.uk, which is where I got my sanitisation station, they are called sanitisation stations. It's sanitizerstation.co.uk. They're between 150 and 400 quid. You can also pick up there the antibacterial gel. They do 5 litres for 66 quid, 4 litre bottles for, sorry, or you can get 4 1 litre bottles for 72 quid. They do indoor and outdoor signage, £2.40 for the indoor, £4.81 for the outdoor. What else? How many guests are you allowing? We've covered that. What changes are mentioned in the menswear operation, if any? So, no, Kira, we're not charging for our appointments. We have always had a cancellation, what is it called? No-show fee. So if we don't get 48 hours notice of cancellation, and Maria's just asking the same thing. Thank you, Maria, that's kind of you. You've done a fantastic job with lots of information and debate as well. Kira and Maria have said, am I charging? I think there's a big debate about charging for appointments right now, and I think that now, now is the time. If you want to charge. I'm not charging. I mean, again, it's a very personal decision. With all of the contacts I've had with my brides, who I can honestly say are so excited about coming into store and buying dresses, I would say that I don't feel the need to change. I don't think I'm opening my doors all of a sudden to people that are just going to play dress up. I think quite the opposite. I think what will, I think, sorry, I keep getting distracted by the questions. I think brides want to come in. Sometimes charging for appointments is a very, very good strategy if you have a situation where you have too many people playing dress up and if your sales conversion rates are low. So we are very happy with our sales conversion rate. We'd like it higher, but we're very happy with it and it works for our business model. I don't see that drowning and dying and going the other way. With everything that we're doing and the way that we're presenting it so positively with our customers, we're trying to find ways to enhance their appointment outside of all of these measures that we're talking about. I don't see it being an issue, so no, I'm not going to charge for appointments. We do a no-show fee. It's £25, so it's £25 if they don't show. And I'm with Bridal Live. Lots of fantastic retailers are on Bridal Live. Pre-Bridal Live, I did my own version of a cancellation no-show thing. I need 48 hours notice and they get charged 25 quid if they don't turn up. So that's what I continue to do. There's some questions here about children. How many guests they can bring with them includes children. I don't mind if they bring children, but they need to adhere, all of them, to all of my measures. And if they are then one of those people, so in the case of Bridal Plus 2, they can bring their mum and their daughter, no problem. But that's all I can cope with, because when I've walked my shop, in terms of adhering to social distancing and for the benefit, the security and the safety of my team and for their comfort and reassurance during their appointment, then that's the number of guests they can bring with them. Over and above what we've discussed, what additional health and safety steps have you introduced? I've been through so many. I would suggest that what you need to do is print off these documents. I've got the guidance for employers and businesses here. This was released on the 18th of May. So I've been using that. I've been using my Working Safely During COVID Stores one, which was released on the 12th of May, and I'm expecting it to be updated. And I know that you've got to do a risk assessment if you've got more than 5 staff. That has to take place. And I think actually it's a really good way of mentally walking your store. It's something you could go now and do. Go type in risk assessment template, free download. You'll find some. Walk your store in your head and have that open, transparent communication with your team about what measures you want to start thinking about putting in place. Have I carried out any virtual appointments? I've only got 2 more questions on here. I'm nearly done. Have I carried out any virtual appointments? What response have I had? Yeah. And there are a number of amazing boutiques that have, absolutely smashed it. A huge shout out, Justin Alexander. I'm really proud stockist of their Lillian West collection. They've been a real guiding light, actually. A big shout out to Justin and Nick and Chris and the team there. Also, Wendy Rivera over in America with some of her platform, and various others have really talked about the benefits of virtual appointments. We've been conducting virtual appointments which are more of a prequel. Obviously Wendy and Justin and everybody, I'm nearly finished, Zoe, so nearly finished. We have conducted virtual appointments and it has really been more of a pre-qualification and to deepen our connection with our customers, get them ready for the new normal when they're coming in, It's helped me get closer to them because obviously I'm moving to a fitting room experience behind a mask, so it's been nice to have that contact with them, and we've done that really well. And you know, there are some incredible retailers out there that have had lots of success with it. There are some retailers that have sold some dresses that way. Big shout out Dottie Bride, they were amazing. Shannon, she's a great retailer. She has done a virtual sale and smashed it, you know, and it's a time to be innovative. And I mention these people because I really believe passionately this is a time of encouragement, a time of support. This is a time of getting our industry together, moving forward as positively as we can. I hope that this has helped a bit today. I wanted to just conclude with some websites that you can go to for stuff. And hopefully then I've done my job. I'm so sorry Ella wasn't here. I've got to show you a few things. You need one of these. These are available and you must print it, you must sign it. I've had my designer. It's the blue form and it's available, I think, via a link on here. And you do need to print some of them off, okay? And sign them. They are the Staying COVID Secure in 2020. We confirm we have complied with the government's guidance on managing the risk of COVID. This is really important, okay? So you need some of those. On buy.com, masks, thermometers, gloves, they're all available on there. Antibacterial pens is another thing I've got. Antibacterial pens that we've got. I mean, it's just one of those things. They weren't expensive. How much were they? I don't know. I think they were about 20 quid for 50. I Protect. I don't know where I got my antibacterial pens from. Sorry, I can't tell you that. I don't know now. But I've got antibacterial pens. We've decided lots of these around. Obviously, we've just decanted our alcohol gels into these, as well as having the sanitisation station on arrival. Lots of antibacterial soap products available out there. This is a really cheap one from Aldi. It does the job. We've gone to antibacterial fairy liquid as well. Tons of antibacterial products on the market. Obviously, you'll know where to go and get them from. Socialdistancingsolutions.co.uk do lots of signage if you want to have a look at them. Helloprint.co.uk do printed face masks. So if you want to do printed face masks, whether it's for a marketing purpose or because you feel you can cope with the heat in your building, up to you. HelloPrint do them. You can go to HelloPrint. Oh, one other thing we did, which was amazing, and it's something we haven't really covered in this. It is really important that during this time, I think your staff need to see you, and I've got some of my staff watching now, really trying to do everything you can to protect them in your environment and to support them. You know, a lot of them have been in their gardens. A lot of them have had a lot of time off. You know, it's going to be very hard for them all to get their heads around that back to work, back to being a team, back to selling bridal dresses. I would suggest that anyone that hasn't given any consideration for what they can do with their team to keep them motivated, to keep them together, perhaps just basically gets on and thinks of some treats for them. We did a virtual gin night. It was like an online guided gin tasting session. It was 40 quid per person. We had a host join us. We went to the partnership collection.co.uk. They normally provide luxury experiences. They sent us all the kits, all the gin in a box, all out to our home addresses, and we all joined online. We all celebrated. I was so impressed that everyone joined in, and we all had a fantastic time. And I think that keeping your team motivated and sane and safe and secure as you go into this new normal is really, really important. I think that I have been going on a lot. Thanks, Nick, for the feedback, and I can see that people are starting to probably go to sleep. I hope it's been useful. All of this has just been what we're doing. You can, reach me on my Instagram, Abi Neill, or on Facebook, or I have got a coaching, www.abineill.co.uk, which is a small coaching business. I help a number of retailers with various things. It's usually social media, and sort of business ownership and staff management. I haven't packaged up any formal advice yet on COVID or on how to get ready to reopen your shop. I'm afraid this was it. It was all rather informal, but I hope it's helped. But you can reach out to me. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some people that might want some further advice. It is difficult for me to get back to everybody at this time because I'm managing all of the social media, the marketing. We're getting ready to open our own shop, and I'm trying to keep abreast of all of the information myself. So I can't promise I'll get back to everybody, but abineill.co.uk if you need anything, or message me on Instagram. I hope that Bridal Bar have been happy with what I've been able to present today. It was a nightmare having that technical problem. Thank you so much. Thank you, Carla. There's a few people there saying this has been helpful. All of the decisions you make for your shop are yours and your own. So it is a very confusing time. Hannah's just saying, felt a bit lost before, but now feel really confident. Yeah. Oh, that's so good to know. That makes me so happy. I'm really glad it's helpful. But look, you know, we've all got to be prepared that the government are in charge of what happens, and the government will tell us what we've got to do. So we all have to be flexible. We've got to be agile. We've got to be as positive as possible, make our plans, go with it, and just see what we can do. I mean, I want to see our bridal industry come back with a bang. I don't want everyone going to where to be, and that's why I thought it was a good thing to do it today, just to get our heads together. And thank you for all of the useful feedback on here from other amazing retailers. There's so many retailers out there approaching everything really positively. So I know that it's been me presenting this today, but you know, so much of this has been as a result of some conversations I've had, lots of feedback from other retailers. But we are in this together, as cheesy as it is. Our designers and manufacturers need us to get open. And Boris needs us to get open, and we've got to just do it as safely and as carefully as possible. Go sell some dresses and look forward to the new normal. Right, I'm going. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.